Hi there, and welcome to Readlee. Let's create an assignment. Here I am on my teacher dashboard. I'm going to go right up here to the right corner and hit New Assignment. And you notice there are 5 ways for you to create a new assignment. The first is copy and paste. And so I can copy and paste any text into here. Maybe it's an article, maybe it's a short story. And I will be able to get words correct per minute. I'll get the recording. I'll get lots of great data from that. The next is the PDF upload. And what's nice about this is it keeps all the formatting on the PDF. So maybe it has a timeline because it's a history text, or it has a diagram because it's a science text. It will keep all that in there, and it will be formatted exactly the way the PDF is. But it will be able to identify the text that students read. So you'll still get accuracy data. You'll still get words correct per minute data. But that you will also be able to keep all that formatting to build that context and comprehension for students. Independent reading is our most flexible. And so students can read anything from the dictionary to a comic book into Readlee. As a teacher, you'll get words per minute. You will get the recording of students reading, and it gives those students a lot of choice. So as a teacher, I don't need to upload anything. I'll still get all of that great data, and students will be able to read whatever they would like. Web URL is great because it helps you format really nicely. And so I've entered a URL for a website that has a text, and it will pull the picture, it will pull the title, the URL, and the author if it finds it. And then all I have to do is go to that website and copy and paste that text here, and then it will be able to calculate words correct per minute. But as a teacher, I'll know exactly where that came from and be able to have it formatted really nicely for me. And the last option is the content library. And so I will choose Readlee Library. And if I want to filter by word count, I can certainly do that. Maybe I'm looking for a shorter text, something quick for my students to read, or maybe I'm looking for something a little bit longer. I want to give them a lot of really good practice, or something in between. I can also filter by grade level. So if I'm a 3rd grade teacher or my students are reading at a 3rd grade level, I would choose 3rd, and it will bring up the texts that match that grade level and the word count if I specify that. But we are going to go back and do a copy and paste text. So I've already copied my text by doing Command C on my keyboard. Now I'm going to do Command V, and there is my text all about Machu Picchu. And so now I'm going to go to the next step. The next step is to really format this text, and so I'm going to call it Machu Picchu. I know that the person who created it is named Michael Gentry. I can upload a cover image, so I have already gone and found an image of Machu Picchu. So I'm just going to drag that straight from my desktop right in there, and so it will show that picture to my students, but a little bit more context for them as they go into this assignment. Private user content, it's mine, so I'm going to keep that there, and then I'll select the grade level that it will be for my students. So it will be 6th grade, and I can add tags, and so I'm going to add history, I'm going to add nonfiction. These are really for you to help you find the texts and assignments that you have created. So for example, if you are doing a poetry unit, you can upload a bunch of things and tag them poem, and then I can search and look for things in my library that are named poem and really easily sort of find the things that I've created. So as you create a bunch of assignments, these tags are really helpful, and you can individualize them and use them sort of however makes sense for you. So I've got this formatted. I am ready to move on. Now it's going to check all of my text, all done. The next step is to choose how much of this text I want to assign. And so this is the first way you can really individualize this for students. I can leave it as the full text, or I can select just part of a text. Maybe I have some students who will get overwhelmed with this length of text, and so I can give them just a couple of paragraphs. And it's really easy to select exactly how much I want them to read. I'm going to go ahead and do the full text, and then I'm going to move on. Now this is where I really can individualize this assignment for my students. So the first thing I can do is add instructions. I'm going to say read the text and answer the questions. You can make these as specific or as non-specific as you would like for your students. Really open-ended to sort of give your students a very clear picture of what you're hoping they do with their Readlee assignment. It will always add a read aloud assignment or a read aloud task because that is where students actually hit record and do their recording. So that will always be there for you. But I can add a couple more tasks to make these exactly what my students need. The first one is adding comprehension questions. And so I have a couple of options of how to do those questions. The first is to record it. So I could hit record and ask the question, what is the main idea? What did you learn about Machu Picchu? How tall is Machu Picchu? Any of those questions I could record by just hitting record. I can also write the question, which is more traditional. How tall is Machu Picchu? Just a quick check-in, see how closely they're reading. I can also individualize how students respond. And so if I leave it on student choice, they can either record themselves speaking their answer or write their answer, or I can ask them to do one of the two based on what I'm assessing. And so I'm going to leave it as student choice, give my students the option of how they want to respond, and I will save that question. And you'll see that it's added here for me. The next thing that I can add is model reading. And so as the teacher, I can actually record myself reading this text. I can read the whole thing. I can read just a paragraph. But this gives you a really good way to model the fluency and the prosody, but also model some pronunciation. For example, my students may or may not know how to say Machu Picchu, and so as a teacher, I can model how to say that so they feel really comfortable and confident when they come to tackle this text. So I would record and then save the model reading. The last thing that I can add with a school level license, a Readlee school level license, is vocabulary preview. And so I'm going to hit vocabulary. And I think that my students may or may not know the word marble. And it's something that I want them to look at before they read the text, because I think it changes the way that you could read this text based on knowing that definition. And so I'm going to select it. You'll see that it's highlighted the word and also added it here. I'll hit continue, and it will bring this up for me. So it will bring up the pronunciation.
Marvel.
It will also bring up the Merriam-Webster definitions for me. And so as a teacher, I can say, I think this second one makes more sense, so I'm going to leave that one. But I also want to add a sentence to add context for this. So I'm going to say, the ocean was a marvel because it contains so many living things. So I'm going to add a sentence there to helpfully give my students a little bit more context. I could also add an image. So exactly the way I did with the image up here, I could drag and drop and add it down here to add a little bit more context. And so I'll save that vocabulary task. And now you'll see in the assignment that this is going to be highlighted, and that will look that same way for students. And students will see this task first. So the first thing that students will do when they get on this assignment is see those vocabulary previews. They'll see it highlighted, they'll see the definition, they'll see the image if you've uploaded it, they'll hear the pronunciation. And so they're building that context before they even are asked to read aloud the text. So they feel really good by the time they get to the read aloud. And again, that's only with the Readlee school level license. So I've added all my tasks. I feel good about it. I feel good about my instructions. I'm going to choose finish and review. So now I have my fully completed assignment. If you'd like to know how to assign it, we have another video for that you can check out. Happy reading!